Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. My name's Anthony. I'm an addict and an alcoholic. 7th year doctoral student in clinical psych. Another bozo on the bus. And I care about you.
Yes, and I'm LouiLou. My pronouns are he and him. I am in recovery for crystal meth and alcohol. And I am always in search of balance. Yes, and each week we will create and provide a brave space where we can engage in topics around conversations of recovery.
That was right. Yeah. And our intention is to inspire and create better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to separate us.
Yes, but before we do that, please like, share, comment, and rate this episode when you can.
Rate this episode. Not even when you can. Rate this episode when you can't.
Okay.
And ding that bell. And when you rate, only rate if it's positive and all the stars that you can give us, and only say nice things.
That sounds good.
That's it. But the disclaimer: the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on At the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. The material and information presented. And I'm reading.
I know.
Yeah, we're gonna start that. Let's see how fast I can do it. The views, thoughts, and opinions. Right, one more time. I wonder how auctioneers do that when we go. Okay. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on At the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. The material and information shared here is for general information purposes only. In other words, we are just friends behind a mic here to entertain you.
Entertain is what we're doing.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
I know. Happy Halloween. And we are coming to you on Halloween. That's super cool. Anthony, how are you doing? Let's start with you.
You know I'm tired. So I am very, very tired. My first batch of applications are due November 1st, and I just submitted the last of them literally just like maybe 15 minutes ago. Oh. That's been like a very tiring but still kind of fun process, because it's this big phase of my career.
Yeah.
So I've been very introspective. I've been very tired. My place looks so crazy messy right now. There's just like to-go bags, like for food and stuff scattered all over the place. So I'm feeling like tired and grateful, and tired.
I got you.
Tired, grateful, and tired. How about you?
Feeling good. It's like this past weekend, if you know anything about San Francisco, I'm sure it happens in other cities. The weekend before, like the Saturday before, is usually the big day for Halloween. And so this weekend, in the Castro, they used to close the streets off. Don't do it anymore because for lack of a better term, folks from I was going to say Braden Tunnel, but folks from outside.
That's problematic.
I know it is problematic, but some individuals, not all individuals, but some individuals used to come and bring violence and kind of hostility. And so they kind of stopped doing that. But we've been doing makeshift, where folks will come out in their costumes, even if it's raining or whatever. But this year they tried to add something, and it was really nice. It was cool. And I hosted Fall Follies this weekend.
How did that go?
It went really well. But so I was having my makeup done by someone here in the Castro, and I had one of those moments, like how you have those reoccurring. You might have a reoccurring dream where you're supposed to be somewhere and you're nowhere near there, and it's like you're trying to get there and you can't get there. Well, I kind of
no, that's not relatable. What are you talking about?
No, okay. So I've had a dream. I've had dreams in the past where it's like I'm supposed to be somewhere, I'm nowhere near that somewhere, and it's already time. And so basically, the show is supposed to start at 8. I was done with my makeup at 8:05.
Okay.
And so, first off, I'm going to say I'm a real drag queen now because I was late. But I finished up. I wasn't ready, and I left thinking that I could get a cab, which was a joke. And then I had to run all the way. But I was sending texts.
You ran in drag?
No, I wasn't in drag. I had my face.
Okay.
But I was sending text messages I just wanted someone to respond to say, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
No one was responding, and not until the last minute. And but when I got there, it was all fine. It was great. And it was a good show. But that dream or that fear is like, it pops up, and I don't know. I know it's not always necessarily having to do with that, or maybe I was just feeling like I wasn't in control.
The dream?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but to have it kind of occur in
real time.
because
in real
I
life.
was halfway there and I was looking around and I was thinking maybe I should just go home.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's because I don't like being late. I don't like when people are expecting me. It's like this just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you value people's time.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah, I get it.
like I try to show up, and and if I'm gonna be late, communicate, and that's what I was trying to do. And there wasn't any kind of, and I know folks were busy, and by the time I got there, nobody was thinking about it. It was like the music was really good, like the music they had on before. Folks were festive, and I had enough time to get in a drag, and then
you mean everyone wasn't thinking about you?
They weren't thinking about me,
No.
and not the way I was thinking about me, and that fucking pissed me off. No kidding. I went in there and cursed everybody out. How dare you?
Yeah.
No,
and another thing.
No, it's fine. It worked itself out beautifully.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah,
and I'm also happy to hear that Follies continues.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been going on for so many years.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not. So you had the idea for today's topic. Do you want to explain it?
Well, so we were going to talk about something else, but we decided against it since it's Halloween. And so I was like, trick or treat. Obviously, you start with trick or treat. And and we were thinking surprises in recovery, because even if you're not doing 12-step or whatever, it's like the surprises or the shocks or the
yeah, you can also have treats.
Things, yeah, exactly. Things that you can't anticipate.
Yeah.
And that they can be good, they can be bad, but some, I don't know about you, but being a Virgo, I like to know what's around the corner.
I am a Virgo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like to know what's around the corner. I've been one of those people. It's like, and I like good surprises. I don't like bad surprises.
Do you know I love surprises?
Okay.
I love surprises.
So you like haunted houses, huh?
I do like haunted houses, but I love surprises. Like I love being surprised. You want to know a secret?
In a good way.
Yeah. Well, actually, we can talk about that. Yeah. I actually have room. Like I think I've talked about this before. I kind of like secretly like when things don't work out the way you plan them to. Of course, it's easier for me to say that with things that don't feel high stakes.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
right now I'm applying for these.
Oh, I was thinking about that term. I was thinking about that term, high stakes, because I was talking to my sponsor and I was thinking about situations that are not high stakes. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like high stake things are hard for me to kind of like just roll with. But like in general, I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to things not working out. And the reason why that is because I like to think that when things don't work out, it's like God presenting himself, and it's also lifing, and like, and I feel like I'm witnessing like humanity. Like I'm witnessing this, like the most raw form of what it means to live is like the shit that happens when it's like the stuff that we didn't plan for.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm like you in that sense. I always hope that things work out. I appreciate after the fact.
Yeah.
The more that like things don't work out exactly, and then I get to, and this is why, like, especially with drag and when I'm hosting, when I'm doing things like that, I practice the third step. Like I put what I put into it, and then I turn it over.
Well, can I tell you what it feels like when things don't work out? Like the feeling I get, it to me, it feels like, it feels like God, like it feels like to me is like God is showing himself, and like so I get kind of giddy when it happens. Like for example, the last time I remember it happened, like I was at my friend's place, and like she had made this like big deal about having this like movie night, and nothing worked out. And I remember just like sitting there like laughing and thinking to myself like, oh, this is so fun. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is so fun, because this means the thing that's supposed to happen is gonna like how to explain this? It's basically, I'm like, something's going to come in lieu of the thing that we thought was supposed to happen. And this thing to me feels so raw. It feels like this is the thing. It's like God shows his hand. And so what ended up happening is we ended up having this like fantastic night where we were just like eating and chatting and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of secretly like it when things don't work out.
like you said, the lower the stake. Because if it's
The
high
lower the
stake,
stakes, yeah.
if it's higher stake, like it's hard not to kind of like
Well,
have your worth tie into
of
it
course, yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, I think about, well, even and I think, okay, when things are high stakes, I think what's difficult for me is to enjoy that in the immediate. Like in the immediate, it's hard for me to be like, oh, this is God presenting himself.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's
I
always
do eventually,
after the fact.
yeah, I do eventually get there, you know, like
Yeah.
I had an experience like that recently. I won't go into detail, but basically I had this moment where I was like, oh shit, like God's plans are always better than mine. And even if it took so many years, like,
Yeah.
you know, I think we were already talking about today's
No,
topic.
exactly. I was thinking about
Yeah.
that. It's like, because that's always a surprise, because I think that, you know how we joke and say it's like addicts and alcoholics don't know the difference between a bad day or the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like, we had a conversation, or, actually, I think wasn't it the topic, Sunday night, emotional sobriety?
Last week.
On Sunday.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
emotional
yeah.
sobriety. And I was thinking about what if I was going to answer that, emotional sobriety is being okay with the idea that things are not going to be okay, and not feeling like it's the end of the world. It's like emotional sobriety is accepting that, I'm not always going to be happy. I'm not always going to be sad. I just am. And I get to show up and deal with it. And it's not that the world is out to get me or anything's out to get me. It just is, and I get to decide how I'm going to respond, and that's a fucking surprise,
Yeah, you're reminding me. There was I forget the name of the book, but basically, it was saying, I was reading this book, and it was saying that like in developing a relationship with a power greater than yourself, that you can take whatever you want to God. And one of the things that it was saying is like, if you're angry and you don't believe in God, like then like you can scream at God, and you can curse at God, you can scream at God, like you can take whatever you want to God.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the idea, maybe where I'm thinking of, like, and God looks at you lovingly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like God is like, oh, look at my child throwing a tantrum, or look at, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and looks at you lovingly. And that to me, I feel like is emotional sobriety.
Yeah.
Like the ability to hold conflicting feelings, to be with yourself. That feels like emotional sobriety. There is, for example, I think what I've learned over time is that there is a way of like suffering soberly, and I think for me, I think suffering soberly is, oh, what's interesting, because as I was thinking about this, I was like, I started to do like absolutes in my head, like I think in absolutes, but I think suffering soberly is not feeling like, not trying to like throw your pain at other people. You know what I mean? Including at yourself, but like taking it somewhere, like, and I think, I guess in this conversation to be like taking it to your concept of what a higher power can be. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I don't think like looking back that I would ever picture myself saying the shit that I'm saying right now.
Oh, of course not. No, it's like, well, yeah, it's like, wow. Like I was listening to the suffering soberly. It's like, is it even suffering if you're taking it somewhere?
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't know. Should we look up suffering?
No, it's not suffering. Well, yeah, let's look up suffering.
Well, while you're looking it up,
I know, it's like
suffering in silence. Yeah, but I'm also thinking of like treats of recovery. I guess those things are treats too.
I know. Well, exactly. It's like, I think that it's easy to think that something like that would not be a treat, but when I was in a place where I didn't understand, or I was not able to kind of accept or appreciate what the benefit of it, I ran from it. Like I couldn't see, you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Can I tell you something interesting that's been happening to me recently?
The state of undergoing pain or distress or hardship.
Yeah.
Weapons that cause unnecessary. So the state of undergoing pain or distress. So if it's a process, I guess it is suffering. Yeah.
What's been happening to me recently is like, so I've been working really hard on finalizing these applications. I got a hair in my mouth. and neither one of us have hair, so I don't know what that was about.
Why'd you include me in this?
Because we're,
I know,
I mean, who else's hair would be on my mic?
Okay. It's Bonnie Violet's.
Oh,
they were,
girl. So,
hi, Bonnie Violet.
Hi, Bonnie
happy
Violet.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Something that's been happening to me recently is like over the last couple of weeks, although I've been tired, I have also been feeling very grounded and like confident and like self-esteem.
Because you're a pillar.
Stop.
A pillar.
Don't start that.
Wacka, wacka, wacka.
But I've just been feeling really confident and very grateful. And these are like relatively new things for me. Like I've been cultivating these things like self-esteem and confidence, and they've been coming, and whatever. Some days are better than others, but
you know what? Okay, so there.
You were on a roll today.
Okay, so we start this process.
I'm gonna write this down before.
Yeah, no, we start this process with recovery, and you know how it seems like it takes forever to get to a good place with it, but I think that it's working, it's magic, it's doing what it needs to do, and when we start to feel it, that's the point when it comes to fruition.
Yeah,
we start to like, it's like, so you say it's. I thought about that because when you were saying it's recent, but it's not.
So it's like growing. It's
not. It's like it's like everything that you did leading up to it, even when you didn't feel right, even when you weren't, was a part of the process. Even the discomfort, even the bad experiences were a part of you being able to walk out of this and shine, and that's pretty cool.
I love when you talk about stuff like this because you kind of like light up and get really excited.
Well, because I don't know.
That's really cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing to be able to kind of see it, because when you're in it, you don't necessarily see it, and it's hard to imagine being out of it.
Yeah, can I tell you? So going back to what I was saying, which is related to what you're saying. Am I kicking that? Did I just kick that? I'm a mess. I am the absolute worst. I am so glad that we are not hired, because then I'd be fired. But what I was thinking of is, so confidence is that my relationship to God at this point is like unquestionable, undeniable, and it feels like ever present in my life. And that to me feels really amazing. And what's interesting is that, and perhaps like not surprising to you, is that it's come because I think I really have just been focused on like the next right thing, and I have also stopped fighting. Like I'm not fighting as much. I mean, I'm human, so I'm going to have feelings.
Absolutely.
Which
or knowing when to fight, because if we were fighting all the time and being defiant and always challenging everything instead of just kind of sitting back, listening, taking it in, and I think.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I've been noticing, also, if folks are listening in, we love to hear about your tricks and treats.
Absolutely. And something that we didn't talk about last week that I feel like we need to talk about.
What?
Last week was our 100th episode.
That's right. Or 101.
101.
Brandon, which was it?
It's 100.
Today is 101. Today is 101. So that was
we had like a pre-episode, just to kind of test the waters. It was like kind of our training wheel episode, but it was our 100 episode. So we're in syndication. Oh my God, this is amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
I think, I keep getting hair in my mouth. I've just remembered that we had a bunch of drag queens. We like let the drag queens borrow our mics.
Is it like black and coarse?
That would be my beard. No. My beard is black and coarse. I know what you're implying. I know. I don't know what, unless people have learned how to make the genitals talk. I don't see why that would be on the mic.
No, I'm talking about it. It's probably been there from before.
Okay. we're like loaning our mics to some studio. But I've been thinking about like mindfulness, like mindfulness practices, and it's just been really wild. I mean, like recovery has just been really wild recently. I was talking to my sponsor yesterday, who I absolutely love, Krylon. Shout out to Krylon.
Hey, Krylon.
Yeah, I was talking to her yesterday. Wasn't it yesterday? A little bit. And it was just so funny because we were talking, and like she does not mince words. And I was like saying something and she went right to the point and I just started laughing and I was like, you're so annoying. I love her for that.
Okay, so we're on the right path, but we're here, there, we jump back.
I'm doing whatever I want right now.
I know, exactly. Speaking of sponsors, like, I love those times, and this is interesting. I love those times when I get agitated because my sponsor will say something or call me out on something or whatever, or word it in a way that really kind of exposes me. And it's like, and I'll get annoyed, but underneath it, I'm like, yeah, this is exactly why I chose this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I those are those moments of reaffirming, like, okay, yeah, this is exactly where this is the relationship I'm supposed to be in.
I don't know why this is reminding me of this, but I tell you about the conversation I had with my Al-Anon sponsor, and my Al-Anon sponsor was saying, she goes, your sponsees don't have what you want. You have what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. I know you taught your Al-Anon sponsor was probably in a very thoughtful way, asking if you wanted to kind of renew.
Oh yeah, that was part of not the same conversation,
okay, yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. I pay attention.
What?
No, I pay attention.
I know you do. I know you pay attention.
I'm like an elephant.
So trick or treat. I don't know if that's a true thing. Like, not that you're not an elephant, that you don't think like that you remember. Do elephants really remember things? Like, do they? Can we Google that too? Brandon is saying yes, because apparently he's a zoologist.
Okay, so what I will say is I remember the things.
He is an elephanologist.
I remember the things that I value. I remember a lot of things. A lot of times what will happen is like I will something maybe like in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And it'll come up at just like the right time or whatever. It's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. But yeah, I remember conversations.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So
you were
trick or treat.
Yeah.
Trick or treat. So I know a trick or treat. Can I just share something about Halloween?
Yes, please.
Okay. So when I was a kid, I was obsessed with vampires, and for years, all throughout middle school, I dressed like a vampire. I think there may have been like one
for Halloween or every day. I mean,
my family was not that cool. No, it was just for Halloween.
Okay,
I would dress like a vampire every single year. And what's funny about that is, like, even during the year when it wasn't Halloween, I would do my hair to look like a vampire.
There was a year where there wasn't Halloween. Is that?
No, because all throughout middle school, I was a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Vampire is like my go-to costume.
It's easy.
But I haven't done it in such a long time. Oh, it's like my favorite. Yeah. In fact, the Maybelline show.
Labeling?
My first year, I was in here and I dressed like Lestat from Interview with a Vampire.
You had a blonde wig on?
It wasn't blonde. It was a white wig.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anyway, so all throughout elementary school, I dressed like a vampire. That was my shit. Love vampires.
Nice.
Oh, and then I went through a goth phase in high school.
What's the difference?
No, I went through a goth phase in middle school.
Is the only difference, I think, is the teeth.
The fangs.
The fangs.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was obsessed in middle school with like witchcraft and vampires and like the occult and like folklore and like divination and shit like that. Did you ever go through a phase like that? I feel like a lot of gays went through that. No. Where you were like obsessed with like witchcraft. Like, I feel like for a lot of us, we saw The Craft and we all wanted to be Nancy.
I didn't want to, like, way back from Bewitched, I wanted to be a witch.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a witch like that, but it's like I didn't have like any long kind of.
Okay, well, I guess you're better than some of us.
No, that's not it. It's like there were other things I was probably obsessed with. Like I wanted to be Wonder Woman.
Like meth.
Oh yeah, well yeah, exactly. I definitely had a deep-seated relationship with meth. we were the bestest.
I love her.
I love her. Nobody better never say nothing bad about her.
When's the last time you dressed up for Halloween? Oh, what did you dress up as?
Okay, so the last time like I really got into it, it was we all decided to do it was in sobriety. We all decided to do superheroes, and I dressed as Storm.
Oh, nice.
I had the whole outfit and a big wig and whatever, and it was cute. And we just walked around, and that was fun. There's a
comment?
No, there's a retreat that I go to.
Yeah.
It's Finding Fellowship. It's up north in the woods at Camp Meeker, St. Dorothy's Camp Meeker, and it used to be around Halloween all the time, and so we were able to go and we'd have a big costume party.
Oh, how
And so
fun.
and so I would. It was easy to kind of dive in and get into the costume spirit that way. But really, honestly, it's like now what I do is like this. I just grab a hat or some
And I'm
sort,
done.
and I'm done. Exactly. And I like say, I'm festive.
I think I've shared this with you, but I'll share it with people listening. Is that I love dressing up. Like I love dressing up like characters. Like I've been like that ever since I was a kid. Like I love working with prosthetics, like making prosthetics. I've like some of my best costumes have been like zombie costumes or like a Christmas elf or like a scarecrow. I used to, when I was a teenager, I used to work for this company. It was called Quite a Character Entertainment. And I would dress up like these different things. So like I would dress up like Elmo and go to a party, or I dress up like, or I would do magic tricks at kids' parties, or I would do like balloon animals.
Wait, can we go back to the magic tricks?
Yeah, I would do magic tricks.
Like actual magic tricks?
Yeah, I would do like
Wow.
magic tricks and balloon animals, and like it was. I eventually had to stop doing that job. It was really taxing. Well, because I was working with like families that could afford to, and that was just a lot.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I did not know that. So that's the, instead of being a clown or a magician, you could just be a vampire who does magic at this party. That would be cool.
I just love like the transfer. You know what I'm realizing recently is that, so I come from a very artistic family. So my dad's an artist, my sister's an artist, my grandfather's a singer. One of my cousins is a professional dancer. So there's like, I come from like a lot of art. And what I'm realizing is that I really miss it. Like I miss the creative process. Like I miss.
That's why you have such disdain for creatives, huh?
That's not true. I don't have disdain. I've noticed that every single time we've had this conversation, you increasingly turn up the volume on my dislike. And it's not even dislike. What I said is that I find it hard to work with creatives because they're scattered.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what you said. But yeah. I mean, it's like I was
you were being a troublemaker.
Pretty much.
That's what you were doing. Yeah. So trick or treat. Okay, so I'm having a meta experience right now. So I think the other thing that's been really cool, or like one of the surprises for me in recovery, is that I feel like I'm more myself than I ever was in my life. Well, first off, to be kind of like hokey, I feel like I've finally have discovered who I am in this way. And maybe part of that is just like acceptance of who I am rather than like trying not to do things. Like, okay, I overheard someone sponsoring someone today, and one of the things he was saying, I wonder how much of that I could repeat. I mean, it could literally have been a conversation about anyone.
Yeah,
I don't know. Brandon, what do you think? Okay, so should I not say anything? Okay, well, basically, so this feels very unique to San Francisco. No one's going to know. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
No one's going to know. Okay, so this was the conversation. So apparently the sponsee like identifies as a daddy. Okay, he identifies as a daddy. And they were talking about fourth step, and apparently there were these resentments that were related to his being in this role. And so the sponsor was saying to him, like, oh, you mean to tell me that like you were fulfilling this role and you had all these preconceived ideas of what people want from you or what they expect from you, and they led to like these like maybe like unfavorable things, right? And he said, it might be just easier for you to be yourself.
Wow.
And to me, I was sitting there. I told Brandon, I was like, sometimes I'm at the club and I feel like I'm getting like secondhand sponsorship because I was like listening to this. And that's my. Let me finish my thought. Oh. You've interrupted me 3 times already.
Have I? While you were saying this? Have I really interrupted you? Okay.
I love you so much. You're like, while I was.
Go ahead.
So, okay, let me get it together. So, he okay. I'm coming back. I'm here. So so he was saying, it's easier to just be yourself. It's easier to just be vulnerable and say what's coming up for you. And I was like, oh man, like I can relate to that, because basically, like, to me, when I heard that, it reminded me a lot of how it says in the big book of when we cease fighting everyone and everything, including alcohol. And so I was like, yeah, we like when I've in a way, I almost feel like sobriety hasn't necessarily beaten me down. I don't know what it is. There is this kind of like taming, but it's like a good taming. It's like the kind of surrender that actually gives you freedom. It's the kind of like the way like life opens up when you stop trying to control it, you know? Are you deliberately being quiet now?
Well, I am, but I'm listening. It's like, wait, I can't win from losing. It's like oh my God. It's like I am listening. I am not interrupting. And you're like, what are you doing over there? No. Are you messing with me? Oh my God. It's like, okay, I'm so sorry. What should I do, huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
No, I just wasn't sure. Well, because I was looking at your mouth, and your mouth is never really closed whenever we talk, just by the way. And I was like, is he deliberately
okay,
relaxed?
Like,
do you know what I'm saying?
Jab, poke.
No, I'm not. There's no jabbies or pokies.
Okay, so I feel like what you were talking about is acceptance.
What do you mean?
No, you
were
like
how?
No, you were saying it's like, what you were referring to, like to me it sounds like it's acceptance. Like when I stop fighting, when I stop, when I stop challenging or whatever, I'm getting acceptance around who I'm. Like I can accept that I am not a big game night person. I love the fellowship, but I don't want to play the games.
Yeah.
Every now and then, it's like, that's fine. And I don't, and in that acceptance, I don't need to fight with anybody or challenge anything or it's like when I make that complete sentence, like, yeah, I'm good, I'm not going to play. It's not a slight on anybody, and it's not an insult to somebody who loves playing games. I think it's great. It's just, I don't usually want to play because I don't want to play.
Yeah, I relate to that. What you're making me think of is that in a lot of ways, I think that I'm going to speak in general terms, but I'm probably just referring to myself. Mm-hmm. I think many of us who struggle are really actually looking for permission to be ourselves. And I feel like we get permission to be ourselves when we see ourselves reflected in other people. Mm-hmm. And so like something that's coming up for me is like a while ago, someone said like there was like one of the beach events, and they were saying, I went to that beach event and it made me really anxious, and I'm realizing like I don't need to do stuff like that. And I was listening to him and I was like, oh, that's right. Like there's nothing wrong with you if like that's just not something that you want to do. I also had like a similar experience recently where I was talking about something with my I'm like, do I want to talk about that? Did you have anything you want to talk about? Was
wow. No.
I'm like censoring in real time. Go ahead. We have a comment.
Jaylon. Great topic.
Brandon told us that we're not allowed to yell Jaylon, so I just whispered Jaylon.
I know, Jaylon, but he doesn't have it in his ear now.
Jaylon, it's good to see you.
Yeah, Jaylon's alter ego co-hosted with me this weekend, and they did a lovely job.
I want to say that Jaylon's drag character is a rising star, but it almost feels like it's not even a rising star. It's
not
like,
rising.
You didn't even. You were already a star. Like like I've never. It's kind of wild. Like. You can't say like, can someone just be a star? Yeah, I guess so. Jaylon, I think that's.
Well, I think unlike a lot of folks who start doing drag in recovery, Jaylon already had like experience.
Is that right, Jaylon? Can you let us know?
Seone Gray was already kind of a performer.
Oh, I didn't know that. But actually, I did know that.
And so part of me asking Jaylon to co-host is I have ulterior motives because I'm trying to get.
Well, don't spill tea too soon.
No, it's like I've already said it's like I want Jaylon's alter ego to be more involved in the sober community and do other things, and so And she was that.
Yeah, she was established before recovery.
Absolutely. See, exactly.
One of the things I appreciate about Seoni.
Seoni.
What a great name. Seoni, or the way Jaylon.
And I think it's like Bonnie Violet.
What did I tell you about you for interrupting me?
Seoni Gray.
Seoni Gray.
You know what? You could tell me all week long, but I'm going to do it. Okay. Don't get told today.
Don't get. I think a booger just came out of my nose, so now we have hair and boogers on the mic.
Oh,
it was not,
I'm gonna mark that.
Not actually. However, it's better now because I can remember everything.
Yes.
What I wanted to say is like I love the way, Jaylon is actually the first person I've ever talked to about drag. And well, no, that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is that Jaylon is the first person to talk about drag from this spiritual perspective. I realize that's also Bonnie Violet's tea, like that's her jam. But Jaylon is actually the first person I've ever met to actually discuss the character in like spiritual terms, which is really interesting.
I've never discussed it in spiritual terms with you.
No.
Ever?
Okay, girl, maybe.
No, okay.
Okay.
No, see, Did
I interrupt you during this? How many times?
I was being attacked earlier for not paying attention.
Wait, have you talked about? Well, I have heard you talk about it in spiritual terms, but the first time I heard you talk about it in spiritual terms was in that interview that you were in. Oh. That was the first time I'd ever heard you talk about like her conception, which was also really beautiful. But it doesn't fit what I was talking about.
No, go ahead.
That was
go ahead. Let me make sure that I don't interrupt you.
I don't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, things are pretty cool. There was something that happened in this room earlier today.
Oh, I think that so trick or treat. One of the surprises, one of the things that surprised me constantly is how much I'm able to, this idea of caring enough about people, but not caring enough about people to my own detriment.
Okay.
Because what I mean is like, I grew up thinking that I should kind of like not have my the things that are important to me, or like if I'm going through something, not to make it not to make it the end all be all,
Yeah.
That I get to process it, but other people, like there are starving kids in Africa. That thing that moms do when you don't eat or whatever, or when you want to complain about something.
What are you talking about?
Okay, let me work through it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let me work through it.
I didn't mean to say it with that tone.
Well, yes, you did, because you said it that way. Okay. So here, what I'm saying is like, okay, so when something is of value to you,
okay,
something is important to you, and you're not in a place to kind of express it in a way that you need to or whatever, and then you got somebody who shuts you down because they don't want, I'm stumbling through this, but
that's okay. Stumble.
Yeah. I care about people now, but I will not care about them to my detriment. Meaning, like, I used to hang out with people who like only wanted to do things they wanted to do, and so I didn't think about like the things I like to do. Like, how you like going to escape rooms. But what if you're hanging out with people who you care about who think that's stupid, and so they never want to take into consideration anything you do, But now it's like I do to a limit. I look up and I care about people, but I care about me. Yeah. And maybe more sometimes I have to.
That's interesting. What that brings up for me is I'm just thinking about how, sometimes I do things like a labor of love, sometimes I do things that I don't necessarily want to do. Although, okay. Like, I think there's some things that I do because I know it's making someone happy. Like, it isn't necessarily something that I want to do.
Absolutely.
But it feels good to know that I'm doing something that makes someone happy. And that to me is enough, Mm-hmm. And conversely, like, I know there is also like one of the ways that I think that I express love is by also trying to like enjoy the things that like the people around me
Exactly.
or like people closest to me, like, you know what I mean? like, yeah, maybe I'll sit through a movie I don't want to see because, you know, someone wants to, that I care about. And that's okay. Like, I think that's one of I think that's a big thing that's come from recovery, where all of my like aspirations and goals before I got sober were like very egotistical. They were about like material gain. They were about like the things that I could acquire or do to make myself look good. And I have, through like sobriety or recovery, I've gotten to this place where I really just want to live a life of service, and I have lived a life of service. And that to me is wild. I never in a million years thought like that would be where I land. I sincerely like, I just want to do, I feel happiest and most connected when I'm being useful, when I'm being helpful. You know, like I feel the most grounded when I am like tapping into my capacity to love, which is not something that I think can exist if I am reserving it. Like, I think, do you know what I'm trying to say here? Where it's like, I don't think it's love if I only save it for some people. Like, I think that love, in the way that I conceptualize it, is something that you kind of like, that grows the more that you cultivate and pour it out for people around you. And like, that doesn't mean that I am taking on like the world's issues, but I do think that like there's so many avenues to connect with people and to come from like a loving and supportive spiritual place. And that can actually be very like life affirming and like, like life affirming and growing. I guess I'm trying to describe something that's kind of woo woo, you know, but is very much something that brings me a lot of life. Like, sometimes I just like I love coming to the club, the Castro Country Club, just like sitting down sometimes like in the room and just being around everyone, you know, and just like feeling the vibes and the energy and like the conversations and seeing people come back, you know, come in and out. And like, there's something really nice about just being, I guess, maybe in the center of the lifeboat, you know? And that's new, you know. I never like, what the fuck is all of that?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
What the fuck is all of that? And I think the last thing I want to say is that, no, I think that there's also this kind of, I really do have faith in humanity, and maybe even to my detriment, you know, like I still get annoyed. I like, of course I have human responses, but I do think that like in the end, I'm much more forgiving and open than I ever was before.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a comment. That's not a comment.
I like to go dancing. Most of my friends
like
disco
is that
house.
Brandon?
It's just okay to dance.
It says Brandon.
It's just okay to dance to, for me. Most people won't go out dancing to the music that I like. Where are my tech house and trance friends?
Hold on. I like to go dancing.
I love
Most
you.
of my friends like disco house.
Yeah.
It's just okay to dance for me. Most people won't go out dancing to the music that I like. Where are my tech house and trance friends at? I'll go dancing with you, Brandon. Yeah. Aww.
I'm one of those friends. It's like, if I'm not on K, I'm not going out. I don't listen to trance. But hey, the Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help people change their lives by supporting personal growth.
Yes, and our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community, opportunity, and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us, at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
Yes, and tune in every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes, and please rate us. Rate us even if you don't like what you just heard.
That's not what I said. That's not the directive. The directive is rate us if you have nice things to say.
Rate us. What you want to rate us.
Rate us, comment.
We can learn and grow from everything.
Oh, but if you're going to comment publicly, just send us an email.
Actually, pull me to the side and tell me what you think about Anthony. Because I'm no.
All right, I think it's time.